Ugh. Welcome back from the opening there, and welcome to Mad Matt Reviews. I will explain further my process of thinking on this, but I'm just going to put it out this way. I think maybe bringing things back around to what they used to be might be the way to go. If you follow me here. The thing is about doing these review shows is that I put an extremely long amount of time and effort into them, and while I really do love doing reviews, my one problem is that, for all the time and effort I put into extra stories, all the special effects that go into an episode of my review show, I seem to get very little feedback about it. So, mixing things up a bit. I think this will actually still be going down as Malice Reviews, I guess, because I did promise it for another Malice Reviews. But, well, technically, Malice is me. Since we're breaking the fourth wall for this particular episode, I see the Malice with the black eye makeup as, shall we say, a higher form of myself, maybe? Whereas my normal self from the regular series, or Mad Matt from the regular series, is more of the happier side of me. The one that loves to have fun games, watch really cool, good movies, and so forth. And then the other half of the background characters is the angry Malice, the mask-faced one with the black hood, who constantly rages in a deep, growly, almost Batman-like voice. You know, so he's the angry side. He's the one that is pretty much forced to remember all the bad crap I've gone through when it comes to video games and movies and so forth. Whereas Mad Matt is the personification of all the good stuff, and then the higher version, the middle version, the Malice with the black eye makeup is my perfected self. It takes culmination from both sides and mixes it all in the middle, and he comes up with his own opinion on it. Is essentially, I guess, what I've been aiming for this. But enough about this. I, again, will cover this more in a vlog. So, for this, we are doing a review. The poor DVD case for this, by the way, got beaten, battered, and bruised last week when I tried to go to my buddy Mike's. Teaches me to put a fucking tripod in my bag anymore. Anyways, today's movie is The Conjuring. This is based on supposedly based on true events from Ed and Lorraine Warren. This is supposedly a story that they don't talk about much, And I can understand with some of the few things that they do share with us in this particular movie. It's probably a little bit hard to do, but I have to say, Mrs. Warren, Lorraine Warren, must fully back this movie at least to some degree, because she actually makes a freaking guest appearance. This literally is an audience member at one part of the movie. But if it isn't her, it's a goddamn dead-on look-alike for her. And by the way, The Conjuring, like everyone who mentioned it on Facebook before me, this movie fucking kicked my ass. I am serious. Most modern horror films, I maybe get a jump scare and that's like, shame on you movie. This thing gave me jump scares and I was legit, fuck. You know, like, they actually went somewhere and got me. They got me good. I will admit to that one. Damn. I have not had a really good horror movie, honestly, I have to say, in quite a while. I've actually been going on a little marathon of Friday the 13th, which also kept me from getting into that, because usually any of my viewing stuff that I do is usually either internet self-entertainment, which usually about half hour or so videos. Otherwise, if I go for a full-fledged movie, it's usually for this review show. But the Friday the 13th stuff was just me binging on, going on with the Halloween spirit, and honestly, we just hit the 3rd of December now as I am filming this. That fucking movie! Holy shit! That was money well spent! Oh my god, I'm trying to remember the last time I was actually scared by a movie, the way I was with The Conjuring. Like, I've gotta say, Amityville, the first one, was pretty damn good. The Exorcist, the versions I've seen of it, the one really old version I've seen of it, was pretty good. And that sucker is right up there with all of them. I mean, all of them. Holy smoke, that was awesome. By the way, made by freaking New Line Cinema. But in case people don't know, New Line Cinema is also the same company that gave us Nightmare on Elm Street, gave us the 3 or so more recent Friday the 13th. So actually, I'll check it right here. The 4 more recent Friday the 13th. And also, they've given us a few other things here and there. I have to admit, a lot of their horror franchise I never really paid much attention to. But Elm Street always was a thing. Elm Street was always a thing that, in my gears in my head, kept me going, I gotta see that someday. And same Friday the 13th, and especially Halloween. When you can actually make a horror movie based around one of my favorite holidays, and name it that holiday. But, that aside, this movie got me. So, the background is that a family moves into a house, leaving, apparently, New Jersey, and move on to a farmhouse. I forget where, but again, I've only watched the movie once, so if you'll forgive me if I forget a little bit of the details. But after moving there, strange things start to happen. Literally the next morning, the mother wakes up with bruises, and like almost every single day thereafter, there's almost always a new bruise. They think it's an iron deficiency, but I can tell personally, that's someone that took a punch. One of the younger daughters, who used to sleepwalk, has started sleepwalking again. The littlest daughter found a weird wind-up trinket. I would almost call it a jack-in-the-box, but it doesn't like spring out. It's like you open it up, there's a little reflective mirror that goes around in a circle, and then there's actually a little clown head that kind of comes up and down slowly in the middle. But after getting this wind-up thing, that little girl starts seeing a little boy who talks about hiding places and stuff to her, apparently. And you can only... the first time she apparently saw him was when she wound it up and then saw him in the reflection of the little mirror thing that goes around. And the father at one point has to actually leave for about a week because he's a trucker, and being a trucker, he has to be away a long time. He has to do some very long jobs of being a trucker, and, well, he gets paid damn good money for it, over time, of course. But while he's away, the mother starts noticing more and more bruises. The girls that live, their 5 daughters, I believe, all start noticing strange things throughout the house as things keep going. And it finally culminates in all kinds of weird, freaky shit going on. arms reaching out of nowhere, clapping, voices that come from nowhere, all these other things, and just, oh, just unsettling shit. And, apparently the Warrens were doing some sort of showing. They apparently go to, like, schools or something to try and, they do public things, essentially, to raise awareness of what the Warrens are actually doing and some of the things that they have encountered. Upon reaching very close to where this particular family lives, they finally come in contact with the Warrens and ask for their help. The Warrens are a little reluctant, mostly due to the fact that Lorraine apparently witnessed something in the last exorcism they took part in that apparently shell-shocked her for about 8 days and made her run off and hide after they got home. Not saying anything, not doing anything, just locked up literally in her room for 8 days. Amazing she didn't kill herself if that was true. And by the way, I have seen Lorraine Warren. I don't know her personally or anything, but she seems like a nice lady, and she's very tough for her age, I would have to say. She's a lot like my great-grandmother before she passed away a couple of years ago. She was a strong woman then, and she's still a strong woman now, as far as I have seen. Anyways, Ed keeps trying to keep Lorraine out of things because he's still worried of what might happen to her if something else similar happens. But this is definitely an instance where Lorraine is right in pushing the fact that they both need to take part in this, and that they both need to help this family before something even worse than what's already previously happened in this particular farmhouse happens again. With the plot synopsis out of the way, love the cinematography. There are some very nice angles throughout. There's a lot of really good camera movement. I could tell that they must have been doing a Steadicam for at least most of the film. There's a little bit of bob and swivel, but you know what? It's smooth enough that it's not like the herky-jerky action bullshit that you get from a lot of action movies that seem to never have the budget to actually have a real fucking fight. This movie does not try to hide anything in jerky movement. They are literally doing the Steadicam because they are in such tight quarters and they want to have all four walls around them for the entirety of the movie. And then the final act as well, they start getting some very nice angles. They even do a what I dubbed the Evil Dead camera. That's towards the end of the original Evil Dead. There's a particular series of camera shots that are like really extreme, almost expressionist type stuff from like the 1920s. And the one in particular that's really popular because of the Evil Dead is the over-the-head shot. Essentially, you see someone coming, like underneath the ceiling, and the camera is kind of almost like the ceiling itself, but looking down at the person as they come under and still keeps watching the person as they walk by. And then even in the Evil Dead in particular, Ash would walk back towards where the camera is, behind where the camera is originally sitting, and it would swivel to still keep him in focus for the entirety of the shot. Some very nice angles, in short. The directing, believable characters all the way around. I love it when they do smart, believable characters. I don't think there's a particularly stupid thing that anybody ever does in the entirety of this film. I was this close to yelling, "Don't you dare do it," at one of the sequences. I don't want to give spoilers away, but you'll see it when it gets to the end. It reaches that point of, "Don't you dare say it." But he didn't say it. More freaking kudos to him. He was smart enough not to say it. The Warrens are very believable, and what little I've seen of Lorraine seemed to hit home quite right. I do know that they had a daughter. I believe there might be another child or two. I know for sure I've seen one of the grandchildren a couple of times. Apparently the grandchildren are a little about what their grandparents have done, but you never know, man. The evidence doesn't exactly stay well over time, you know. Film deteriorates and all this shit, and this is kind of home movie shit, too. So I'm pretty sure that even if they did have a lot of proof of what they have found, it's mostly going to be just still photographs what little they got out of them. I guarantee you a lot of the film, if they actually were doing things like this, is probably gone and deteriorated due to the age of time and constant use and everything else, you know. And with most movies that claim to be based on a true story, I still, as usual, have to wonder how much is true. My guess is, at a minimum amount, about 25% of what happened here actually happened. again, Hollywood has a way of taking things a few steps further than they really need to be, you know? But the Warrens come off as really good in this film. The parents of the family come off as very smart, and the fact that they actually sought out somebody like the Warrens was a good move on their part. The Warrens have a few friends, and even though you don't really see much of them or get to really know them, with them they have a tech guy, I assume, due to the fact that he's messing around with a lot of their tech and helping set up. He's of some sort of Asian descent. We also have a police officer who's apparently from LA, and at the end of the movie kind of swears off ever doing anything like this again. And from the way people talked about him being new to this group, it kind of sounds like they go through police officers like people will usually go through Tic Tacs. So yeah, not surprising he gave up after this one, if that was also true. And I think also the girls were a bit younger than what they were shown in this movie, but I can't always guarantee that either. I'm not sure on all the particulars. But overall, again, an entire ensemble cast, and as far as I'm aware, not a single one of them did anything extremely stupid to the point that I went, "You idiot." Which is kind of hard-pressed to find in a horror movie these days, even from New Line. So, excellent. New Line. Keep that up. Please, pretty please with sugar on top, keep that up. You've hit gold with these kind of characters. Keep hitting gold some more with them. Beyond characters, the direction, obviously the director has a hand in everything that happens here. The cinematography is great. The actors really do their jobs very well. The effects that they do have, I want to say that at least a good 75% of these effects seem to be actually in real world actual effects. Like, they actually did something to do that in real life before in front of a camera. But I assume in particular there are a few effects I can maybe think of by a handful of maybe 5 or 10 sequences that must have been done with something that was CG'd, but the fact that they didn't go overboard on CG and make everything a gooey CG monster that screams into the camera, by far the best idea you could have ever done. Very nicely done. Very good special effects. I cannot sing this thing's praises enough. Actually, what is this thing rated? It's an actual fucking R horror movie! Fucking hell yeah! It's an actual, honest-to-God R horror movie. And it's about freaking time someone actually made one instead of all this PG-13 shit. And, by the way, people, the fact that it's rated R is sequences of disturbing violence or terror. Not blood, not gore, and definitely not that torture shit. Honestly, I haven't actually seen any of the torture horror movies yet to actually tell you how effective they are, but they've never really grabbed my interest. I've never really had a desire to watch them. This kicks ass with a very minimal amount of gore. At worst, the mother in particular gets the worst end of the stick out of anybody, although there are a few ghoulish things here and there that might freak the hell out of the little ones too. But those are few and far between because, again, this movie is fucking subtle on your ass. I believe we paid an entire $12 for this movie. It is worth every penny. I will for sure be watching this movie again. I really loved it, and I'll see it again sometime. And I hope you'll turn in next time for whatever movie I decide to pull out. Actually, I do believe I actually do know what I'm going to be reviewing next. But until then, I'll catch you next time. Later.